Have I got a word for you today? Yes. Have you been experiencing some spiritual warfare? Have things been just kind of difficult to press in and press through? Maybe you felt like there's been blockades, some obstacles, even some just difficulty with some relationships, or people seem a little bit difficult to get along with. Listen, this is because you have just been promoted. Yes, you've stepped into a promotion time. On this Thursday, February 12th, is the month of Adar. It's a brand new Hebrew calendar month, and it is a month of joy. And so at the end of this past month, we have stepped into a place of promotion. And the month of Adar is the 12th month on the Hebrew calendar from the start of Passover or Nisan. So it's the last month before we head into Passover. It's a month of completion. It's a month of joy. Yes, it's a time where the Jewish people celebrate Purim. And Purim is the time where we remember that Esther went in to the house of the king, and she asked for the king to allow her to come in and to speak with him about the fact that she knew that her people, the Jewish people, were going to be annihilated by the evil Haman. And so she risked her life in order to properly position her people, her nation, to be saved. And so it's a time where we remember the importance of promotion as well. You've just been promoted, and spiritual warfare is a response of that in the spirit realms. The spirit realms always want to push back whenever we've been promoted. And so God has expanded you, right? I was speaking to you in January that was a month of first fruits where we came before the Lord and we consecrated ourselves. Well, the next thing was capacity or expansion. Well, as a result of the expansion, promotion took place for you, and you're living at a new foundation level. Your foundations have risen. You've gone to a next level. And so because of that, there's friction in the spirit realms, but there's also greater responsibility that you have. And so with that, I want you to remember Esther, because though she entered in to the palace many years before, and she was prepared to be the queen. That was one preparation time for promotion. But then she stepped into this place of having to stand for her nation. That's really when she became queen. It wasn't so much when she put the crown on her head, but it's when she stepped into the fact that it was time for her to save a nation. And saving a nation meant that she was going to have to risk her own life. And so promotion, we often think of that as some kind of great and wonderful thing, but really what it is for your purpose and destiny. It's the proper positioning that God has for you so that you can be used not to sit in a seat of royalty, but to actually have the opportunity to minister to a remnant. You have a sphere of influence that God has surrounded you with, and with that influence, God has properly positioned you to have the power to come forth and to make the changes. Anytime promotion is there, it's because God has raised you to a next level of sphere of influence. So now you must open your mouth. Now you must begin to start doing the things that are necessary. And there's always enemy pushback for that, because the enemy always wants you to be convinced that this promotion didn't happen in the spirit realms, that you're not good enough, that you can't possibly be called of the Lord to do this. What did Esther do? She actually asked the people to fast for her, to fast and to pray for 3 days, that she might have the strength to go before the king and tell him what Mordecai had spoken to her about what was going to happen to the Jewish people if she didn't stand forth. And so promotion comes with a test that proves we are promoted. And so this is where the enemy kind of comes in here, is because he always tries to get involved in the things of God, the progression of the Lord. He tries to push it back. He tries to hinder it. So I just want to tell you right now, the secret to getting past this is to step into the heavenly places, the joy of the Lord. Remember, you're a citizen of heaven. Remember that the joy of the Lord is your strength. That's Nehemiah chapter 8, verse 10. Remember that in his presence is fullness of joy. And so that's where you need to position yourself. Get in that secret place with the Lord and let him build you up, okay? That's that place where fasting and praying, these types of things help bring us to this, the discipline of sitting with the Lord and hearing him and getting the strategy to bring forth to the sphere of influence that God is calling you to. Yes, you've been promoted. Spiritual warfare is evidence of that. Your promotion is not so that you can wear a crown and sit in the palace. It's so that you can change the environments. You can change a nation. You can change where you're at and where God is calling you to be. He's given you a voice. He's given you his word. When you speak, it's kole. It's like a spark of God goes forward and begins to start progression and movement. Our God is forever moving and changing. He is not a stagnant God. We've got to keep up with him. That's what the times and seasons are all about. And so I just want to encourage you today that in this month of Adar, which starts on Thursday, February 12th at sundown, you are positioned now this month to begin to practice the joy of the Lord, being a citizen of the kingdom of heaven, so that you can walk in this new promotion that God has given you. There's there's multiple times on the calendar where God will promote us for next levels, but for sure it happens at Adar, and then it also happens again around the August time frame too, right before we're coming into the Hebrew New Year at Rosh Hashanah. Every single time, about 4 to 6 weeks beforehand, God starts a promotion. Why? Because he wants you for 6 months to begin to walk in the totality of this promotion, so you can be strengthened and then positioned with the joy of the Lord, with strength, with being a citizen of heaven by faith, carrying that power until he turns the calendar again, gets ready to do that, and brings you to that place of promotion. And so this is cyclical. Our God is cyclical. Things are on a circuit. It's how he works. And so I just want to encourage you today, you've stepped into a new season, a new time and place where God is using you in a mighty way. Do not shrink back. The righteous do not shrink back, but they live by faith. No matter the opposition, press forward, because the enemy cannot take your promotion. He can do everything he can to try and aggravate, and there's aggravation in the spirit realms right now, in the soulish realms. But in that aggravation, use it as a time to press into the joy of the Lord, press into the fullness of his presence, press into being a citizen of the kingdom of heaven, and you're going to see great and amazing things happen in this month of Adar. Share this with a friend, because this is a great time. This is the time preceding Passover, and you have done everything that God has asked of you. And so now it's time to start to step into this role and begin to start accelerating and moving forward. So Father, we just thank you right now for this time of promotion, for the acceleration, for the opportunity to minister to our sphere of influence, Father, and do it with strong faith and joy and fullness of your presence. All right, I want you to hashtag below joy in his presence. Hashtag joy in his presence, because that's what it's going to take for you to fulfill your purpose and destiny.